Hi and welcome back to the pascom training series. The topic of today's tutorial is call labels. Now call labels are fairly self-explanatory. They're a label you attach to a call, so sort of a tag. You can imagine it as, Matthias likes to explain it as a post-it note that you attach to each of the call and just goes through and then does some stuff. Now, Matthias, call labels, what are they and why do we use them?
So there are two different things you can get out of labels. That's just informational. I want to display the customer number, for instance. I want to display which contract this customer has. Something useful, like maybe this is somebody who wants to talk English, for instance. Then I can react correctly and say hello instead of hello.
Yeah, that ties very nicely into a tutorial we did on prompts, for example, where we talked about voice channels, what language they are and so on. And this is where this would then come into play.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. The other thing is I want to react on something. Like this is an important customer. I want to reroute the call.
He has a higher service level agreement or whatever it may be.
Whatever. So those are the two kinds. So there is another kind also which is skills, but we don't talk about this.
That's a bit more complicated, more advanced. That requires a separate tutorial.
We talk about labels.
Yeah.
And those two functionalities.
Right. Then take it away, dive right in there and show us what we need to do.
So here are the call labels, ACD call labels.
Automatic call distribution.
Yes, and then we can create a generic label. We call the generic label somehow. Let's say we have a VIP and we have two decisions, showing the client and create action condition. So what does this mean? Showing the client is, I think, logically, if I say yes, it will be shown in the clients.
Yeah, every client, desktop, mobile.
If I say no, no. Why should I say no? What sense?
That's probably the more relevant question here.
Yes. So if I want to carry a long ID with the call, maybe the ID of the customer is a very long ID out of a system. And then in the client, I want to start the ERP system and hand over maybe this ID again to find the proper customer.
Client actions, which will be a topic of another tutorial, I should imagine, where you can actually open, for example, automatically ERP or CRM systems. That's what that number's for.
Yes, and you don't want to bother your users with this, so you can don't show it.
But there's not really that much space for it.
Yes, there is, but why?
Yeah, when you've got other labels.
Yes. The second is create action conditions. If you don't know what the action condition is, then watch the other tutorials about actions and conditions.
Yep.
But that's when you want to react on that. And I want to react on that. If somebody is VIP, I want to do something else in the call flow.
Or as the example you gave, the language or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I want to add it now. Another one, just to have two and the two types. This is customer num. There I want to store the customer number. Show it in the client, but no condition. No condition, because why should I do this? I have different customer numbers, and then I want to say this number behaves different than the other customer number. This is, I think, too detailed.
And it's also not so logical, because customer numbers are normally added chronologically.
Yes.
And it makes much more sense, for example, if we go to the example of service level agreement.
Yes.
Not customer 1 could have SLR3 and customer 2 SLR1 and so on and so on. It's not in a nice order.
Yes.
Whereas if you add the label and read the information, then you can handle it that way. Yeah.
But it's a good information for your employees that they know the customer number already, because they use in other systems or whatever. So that's the two things we have.
So what's the next step?
The next step is to apply those labels somewhere, because they're just living here now and we are not applied. The easiest way is to use Phonebook entries for that. So I have a Phonebook entry for you, James. You're working at pascom. This is your phone number. And here I can go to edit. And here I see now the labels. So I can say the customer number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And VIP, yes, whatever. So now I've attached those two labels. And now we can make a call to the system.
Here's one I preferred earlier with my mobile app. So let's just quickly go in, show back that screen. It's making the call now.
Okay, then it goes through our system. We go to the queue, so it takes a while. We hear the prompt, which we configured earlier, and now he's here. And now we can see here that the customer number and his WIP, you can hang up again, is carried through the system. So it's just informational.
Yes.
So that's one thing. The other thing is I can react on that, like in the WIP case.
Yeah.
How does this work? I go to the team, sales, edit. And here internal before or external before makes more sense. I can say add kind of
set label.
No, I wanted to add a dropping, that's wrong, on a queue. Let's say this is the VIP support, and if he calls sales, he gets directly to the VIP support if VIP is set. So now this influences the call routing, and it jumps now directly if VIP is set to the system. So it makes really sense that you have a very good maintained phone book.
Yeah.
We have a tutorial on that. Use our connector to connect to other systems.
I was going to say, because you could actually add all these labels, for example, in Active Directory, can't you?
Yeah, or even if you use CSV for imports, you can have them there. So you should take care for it that you have a proper phone book.
Yeah.
And this makes really sense. And you don't have to do all this by hand. You can just use our stuff and store the phone book entries there. As a lightweight solution, also works for sure, and then add the labels manually, but you should automate it. And then for sure there are many more options with label. This is just the peak of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And this is just how you can get into it and understand how they work.
Yeah.
And on every corner of the system, you can use them somehow, enhance them in the IVR, in the call routers,
Whitelisting, blacklisting,
scripting, whatever.
Yeah.
You can use them almost everywhere. They are also available as variables if you're into asterisk scripting. So it's really fun.
They're very powerful tools.
Yeah, it seems to be easier to label.
Yeah.
What should I do with this? But it's really powerful.
On the surface, when you say that, that's exactly what most people say. It's just a label. But then when you think about how you can react to it and the information they provide and all the options they open for you, they are extremely powerful tools. And I'm no doubt we'll get into more detail about them as we go through the tutorial series. But for this tutorial, that is plenty deep enough. So thanks very much for watching. Until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.